Marcus Thompson had just 3 months to live. At 12 years old, his second battle with cancer was going to be his last. The doctors were certain of that. All he wanted was to meet his hero, LeBron James, before time ran out. Through a viral video and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, his story reached the NBA superstar. But what happened next wasn't just about making a dying boy's wish come true. It was about changing thousands of lives, starting a movement, and teaching one of basketball's greatest players the true meaning of legacy. This is the story of how a simple wish became something that made history, and how a young boy's courage inspired a king to build a kingdom of hope. Marcus Thompson stared at the basketball posters on his hospital room wall, trying not to look at Dr. Chen's face. He already knew what the doctor was going to say. He could tell by the way his mom, Sarah, was squeezing his hand so tight it almost hurt. "I'm sorry, Marcus," Dr. Chen said softly. "The cancer has come back." Marcus felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. 3 years of being cancer-free, gone just like that. He was 12 now, not 9 like the first time. He knew what those words really meant. His mom made a sound like she'd been punched in the stomach. "But he's been doing so well," she whispered. "The checkups were all good." Dr. Chen pulled up a chair and sat down. He always did that when he had to explain something serious. "The leukemia cells are multiplying faster this time," he said. "We caught it early, but—" He paused, looking at Marcus. "It's more aggressive than before." Marcus thought about the basketball game he was supposed to play in next week. He'd finally made the school team this year after working so hard to build his strength back up. Coach Martinez had even said he might get to start. "How long do I have to stay in the hospital this time?" Marcus asked, even though he could tell from Dr. Chen's face that this wasn't going to be like last time. His mom's grip on his hand got even tighter. "Marcus," Dr. Chen said gently, "we're going to do everything we can. But this time—" He took a deep breath. "This time, we're not looking at a cure. I'm so sorry." The words hit Marcus like a ton of bricks. Not looking at a cure. He knew what that meant. He wasn't a little kid anymore. His mom started crying, trying to hide it by covering her face with her free hand. Marcus wanted to cry too, but somehow he couldn't. Instead, he thought about the last 3 years, learning to walk again after the first round of chemo, shooting hoops in the driveway with his best friend Tommy, finally getting strong enough to try out for the team. "How?" His mom's voice cracked. "How long?" "Without treatment, a few months," Dr. Chen said. "With aggressive treatment, we might be able to extend that too." Marcus stopped listening. He looked at the biggest poster on his wall, LeBron James soaring through the air for a slam dunk. He remembered watching LeBron's games during his first battle with cancer, how those games had given him something to look forward to during the worst days of chemo. "Can I have a minute alone?" Marcus asked suddenly, cutting off Dr. Chen's explanation about treatment options. His mom looked startled. "Honey, are you sure?" "Please, Mom, just a minute." After they left, Marcus pulled out his phone and opened YouTube. His hands were shaking as he typed LeBron James' greatest moments into the search bar. He needed to see his hero right now, needed to remember how many times LeBron had overcome the impossible. The first video showed LeBron's famous block in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals. Marcus had watched it probably 100 times during his first battle with cancer. Back then, it had helped him believe in miracles. His phone blurred as tears finally came. This time was different. This time, there wouldn't be any miracle comebacks. Outside his room, he could hear his mom crying harder now, trying to muffle the sound. He could picture her standing there in her waitress uniform. She'd come straight from her morning shift at the diner. She'd have to go to her second job at the grocery store later, even after this news. They were still paying off the bills from last time. Marcus wiped his eyes and clicked on another LeBron video. This one showed LeBron visiting sick kids in hospitals. He always seemed to know exactly what to say, to make them smile. A memory flashed through Marcus's mind. Lying in this same hospital 3 years ago, watching LeBron play while poison dripped into his veins. He remembered making a deal with God. Back then, if he survived, he'd never complain about anything ever again. He'd kept that promise. Even when his legs were so weak, he had to learn to walk all over again. Even when the other kids made fun of his bald head. Even when he couldn't keep up at basketball practice. But now, it's not fair, he whispered to the empty room. His voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. The door opened and his mom came back in, her eyes red, but her voice steady. "Ready to talk about the treatment options, honey?" Marcus nodded, but his eyes stayed on the phone screen, where LeBron was hugging a sick kid who looked a lot like him 3 years ago. "Can I keep watching basketball games during chemo again?" he asked. "Of course, baby." His mom's voice cracked again. "Whatever you want." Dr. Chen came back in and started explaining the treatment plan, but Marcus was only half listening. He was thinking about all the Lakers games he was going to miss, about how he'd never get to play in a real school basketball game, about how his mom would have to work even more overtime to pay for everything. "Marcus, did you hear what Dr. Chen said about the new medication?" "Yeah, Mom." He hadn't, but it didn't matter. Nothing mattered except the time he had left. As Dr. Chen continued talking, Marcus's eyes drifted back to the LeBron poster. He remembered something LeBron had said in an interview once. "I'm going to inspire people by doing what I do. That's what I'm here for." Marcus touched his chest where the cancer was growing again. Maybe that's what he was here for too, to inspire people. He just had to figure out how. His mom was asking Dr. Chen something about insurance coverage, her voice tight with worry. Marcus squeezed her hand this time. "It's okay, Mom," he said. "We beat it once, remember?" But they both knew this was different. The look on Dr. Chen's face said it all. Marcus turned back to his phone, to LeBron soaring through the air like nothing could ever bring him down. On the screen, the crowd was cheering. The announcers were going wild. And for just a moment, Marcus could pretend he was there instead of here. The sun was setting outside his window, painting the hospital room in orange and purple. Lakers colors. Marcus smiled a little at that. Even the sky was trying to give him a sign. "Mom," he said suddenly, "can we watch the Lakers game tonight?" She wiped her eyes and managed to smile. "Of course we can, baby. Of course we can." As Dr. Chen left the room and his mom settled into the chair beside his bed, Marcus kept watching LeBron videos. He didn't know how much time he had left, but he knew how he wanted to spend it. He just wished he could meet his hero once before. Marcus pushed that thought away and turned up the volume on his phone. Right now, watching LeBron play was enough. It had to be enough. But deep down, he couldn't help wondering what it would be like to meet the man who had helped him survive the first time. The man who might be able to help him find the strength to face what was coming next. If only there was a way. Marcus was dozing off to the sound of basketball sneakers squeaking on the TV when a knock at his door made him jump. His mom had left for her evening shift at the grocery store, promising to be back before he fell asleep. "Come in," he called, expecting to see Nurse Joy with his evening meds. Instead, a woman with bright red hair and an even brighter smile stepped into the room. She was wearing a blue polo shirt with a rainbow star logo on it. "Hi, Marcus," she said. I'm Jenny from Make-A-Wish Foundation. Do you know who we are? Marcus's heart started beating faster. Everyone knew about Make-A-Wish. They were the people who helped sick kids' dreams come true. But they only came when. He pushed that thought away and nodded. You help kids who are really sick. Jenny sat down in the chair next to his bed. That's right. Dr. Chen told us about your situation, and we want to help make something special happen for you. Marcus's eyes darted to the LeBron poster on his wall. Jenny followed his gaze and smiled. I notice you're a big Lakers fan, she said. LeBron fan, Marcus corrected automatically. I've followed him since I was little. Since before. He touched his chest where the cancer was. Jenny pulled out an iPad. Tell me about that. Why LeBron? Marcus sat up straighter in his bed. The first time I had cancer, when I was 9, the chemo made me really sick. I couldn't do anything except lie here. But then I started watching LeBron's games. He never gives up, no matter what. When people said he couldn't win a championship in Cleveland, he proved them wrong. When they said he was too old to win with the Lakers, he proved them wrong too. He paused to catch his breath. Even talking was starting to tire him out these days. The doctors said I only had a 40% chance of beating the cancer the first time. But I told myself, if LeBron could beat the odds, so could I. And I did. His voice got quieter. But this time, Jenny reached out and squeezed his hand. This time you need some extra inspiration? Marcus nodded, fighting back tears. I've watched every game he's ever played. I know all his stats. Did you know he grew up poor like me? His mom worked lots of jobs too, just like mine. And now he helps kids all the time. He builds schools and stuff. Sounds like meeting LeBron would mean a lot to you, Jenny said gently. Marcus's heart nearly stopped. Is that possible? That's what we do, Marcus. We make wishes come true. She tapped her iPad. Would that be your wish? To meet LeBron James? Yes! Marcus tried to sit up straighter but got dizzy. More than anything. Okay then, Jenny smiled. Let's start the process. But first, why don't we make a video message for LeBron? Sometimes that helps speed things up. Just then, Nurse Joy came in with Marcus's evening medicines. When she heard what they were planning, her face lit up. Oh, honey, that's perfect. I've seen you watching those games every night. Wait, let me help. She pulled out her phone. I used to make videos for my church. I know all about good lighting and angles. For the next hour, they worked on the video. Nurse Joy arranged the basketball posters behind Marcus's bed just so and helped him put on his favorite Lakers jersey. Jenny helped him practice what to say. Finally, they were ready. Hi, LeBron, Marcus said to Nurse Joy's phone camera. My name is Marcus Thompson. I'm 12 years old, and you helped me beat cancer once already. He told the story of watching LeBron's games during his first battle with leukemia. How he'd learned to walk again while watching highlights of LeBron's greatest comebacks. How he'd finally made his school basketball team this year. But now the cancer's back, he said, his voice getting shaky. And this time, he had to stop for a moment. This time the doctors say I can't beat it. I know you're really busy with the playoffs coming up, but meeting you would mean everything to me. You've already helped me so much without even knowing it. I just want to say thank you in person. Nurse Joy was crying by the time they finished, recording. Even Jenny wiped her eyes. That was beautiful, Marcus, Jenny said. We'll get this sent to LeBron's team right away, and we'll start working on making this wish come true. After they left, Marcus felt exhausted but hopeful. He turned the Lakers game back on, but his mind kept wandering to the video. Would LeBron actually see it? Would he care? He must get thousands of requests like this. His phone buzzed. A text from his best friend Tommy. Heard Make-A-Wish came. Did you ask to meet LeBron? Marcus smiled. Tommy knew him too well. He started typing back, but his hands were shaking. Too much from the medicine. He'd tell Tommy tomorrow. The Lakers game played on in the background as Marcus drifted off to sleep. In his dreams, he was on the court with LeBron, both of them wearing Lakers jerseys, both of them soaring through the air like nothing could bring them down. He woke up the next morning to his mom gently shaking his shoulder. "Honey, look at your phone." Marcus grabbed it, still groggy. He had hundreds of notifications. The video had somehow gotten posted online overnight, and it was going viral. Let Marcus meet LeBron was trending. How? He started to ask. Nurse Joy asked my permission to share it last night after you fell asleep, his mom explained. I said yes. I hope that's okay? Marcus watched as the numbers kept climbing. Thousands of shares, hundreds of thousands of views. People were tagging LeBron in the comments. Someone from ESPN just called the hospital, his mom said softly. They want to do a story. Marcus stared at his phone in disbelief. This was really happening. His simple wish was turning into something bigger than he could have imagined. But would it be enough to reach LeBron? And even if it did, would he have enough time left? The morning news was playing quietly on his room's TV. As if answering his thoughts, the sportscaster's voice suddenly cut through. And in basketball news, Lakers star LeBron James had an interesting response when asked about a viral video after last night's game. Marcus's heart stopped as he reached for the remote to turn up the volume. But before Marcus could turn up the volume, a wave of dizziness hit him. The remote slipped from his hand, and the room started spinning. Mom, he whispered, but the word came out wrong. Everything was getting dark around the edges. The last thing he heard was his mom screaming for help. When Marcus woke up, the sun was setting outside his window. Dr. Chen was checking his vital signs, and his mom was asleep in the chair beside him, still wearing her grocery store uniform. What happened? Marcus asked. His voice felt scratchy. Your blood pressure dropped very low, Dr. Chen explained quietly, trying not to wake Marcus's mom. We need to start the new treatment right away. No more waiting. Marcus looked at the TV, now muted. Different news was playing. He'd missed whatever they'd said about LeBron. Did? He started to ask, but Dr. Chen shook his head. Rest now, he said. Your friend Tommy brought you something while you were sleeping. Dr. Chen pointed to a Lakers gym bag sitting on the windowsill. A note was pinned to it. Open when you wake up, bro. As soon as Dr. Chen left, Marcus tried to reach for the bag, but his arms felt like they were made of lead. Even sitting up made him dizzy again. His mom stirred in the chair. Hey, baby, she said, immediately alert. Let me help you with that. She brought the bag over and helped Marcus sit up. Inside was a brand new Lakers jersey. But not just any jersey. It was a custom one with Thompson printed on the back. Tommy's dad got it made at the sports shop where he works, his mom explained, holding it up. The whole team signed it too. Marcus ran his fingers over his teammates' signatures. He'd only gotten to practice with them for a few months, but they'd made him feel like he'd been part of the team forever. There's something else, his mom said, reaching into the bag. She pulled out a tablet. Tommy loaded it with every Lakers playoff game from the last 10 years. He said to tell you that when you're feeling stronger, he'll come watch them with you. Tears filled Marcus's eyes. I was supposed to play in my first game next week. His mom held him close, careful not to disturb the IV lines. I know, baby. I know. The next few days passed in a blur of medications, tests, and fitful sleep. The new treatment made Marcus sicker than he'd ever been during his first battle with cancer. Most days, he could barely keep his eyes open long enough to watch basketball highlights on the tablet Tommy had given him. His viral video had reached over 1 million views now. Local news stations kept calling the hospital. Someone had even started a GoFundMe for his medical bills that was gaining traction. But there was still no word from LeBron or the Lakers. "These things take time," Jenny from Make-A-Wish said when she visited again. "We're working on it, Marcus. Don't give up hope." But time was the one thing Marcus didn't have. He could feel himself getting weaker every day, no matter how hard the doctors fought to slow down the cancer. One evening, about a week after his collapse, Tommy came to visit. Marcus was having a slightly better day. He'd managed to eat some Jell-O and stay awake for more than an hour at a time. "Dude," Tommy said, pulling up a chair, "you're all over Twitter. Even some NBA players are sharing your video now." Marcus tried to smile, but it was hard. The medicines made his face feel stiff. "Any word from—" "Not yet," Tommy admitted. "But he's been really focused on the playoffs. They say he doesn't even look at social media during playoff time." Marcus nodded. He knew that. He knew everything about LeBron's habits and routines, like how he spent over $1 million a year taking care of his body, how he read books before every game to stay focused, how he'd overcome every obstacle life had thrown at him. "Maybe if I'd made the video sooner," Marcus said quietly. "Before I got so sick?" "Hey, none of that," Tommy interrupted. "It's going to happen. You just need to stay strong until it does." But staying strong was getting harder every day. That night, after Tommy left, Marcus had another bad episode. His fever spiked so high, he started seeing things that weren't there. He thought LeBron was in his room, telling him to keep fighting. "LeBron?" he called out in his delirium. "Is that really you?" But it was just Nurse Joy, changing his IV bags in the darkness. The next morning, his mom had to leave for work again. The GoFundMe was helping, but bills kept piling up. Cancer wasn't cheap, even with insurance. "I'll be back for your afternoon treatment," she promised, kissing his forehead. "Try to eat something today, okay?" Marcus nodded, but they both knew he wouldn't be able to. The medicines made everything taste like metal. He drifted in and out of sleep all morning, Lakers games playing quietly on the tablet beside him. In his more lucid moments, he checked social media. The hashtag was still trending. More NBA players had shared his story. Still, nothing from LeBron. Around noon, Dr. Chen came in with a serious look on his face. "Marcus, we need to talk about your latest test results." Marcus knew that tone. It was the same one Dr. Chen had used when he'd first told them the cancer was back. "How long?" Marcus asked before Dr. Chen could continue. Dr. Chen sat down heavily in the chair by the bed. "If the new treatment doesn't start showing results soon—" He didn't need to finish. Marcus could see it in his eyes. "Does my mom know?" "We'll talk to her when she comes back for your afternoon treatment." Marcus waited until Dr. Chen left before letting the tears come. He looked at his Lakers jersey hanging on the wall, at all his teammates' signatures, at the LeBron posters that had given him so much hope. "Please," he whispered, not sure who he was talking to, God, LeBron, or maybe both. "Please, I just need a little more time." His phone buzzed. Another text from Tommy. "Bro, turn on ESPN right now." Marcus's hands shook as he reached for the remote. His heart was pounding so hard, it made the monitors beep faster. The ESPN anchor was talking about the Lakers' playoff preparations, but then the screen changed to show LeBron at a press conference. Marcus turned up the volume, holding his breath. But just as LeBron started to speak, Marcus's vision blurred. The medicine was pulling him under again, making everything fuzzy. "No," he fought against it. "Please, not now." But the darkness was stronger than his will to stay awake. The last thing he heard was LeBron's voice saying something about seeing a video that touched his heart. Then everything went black. Beeping machines dragged Marcus back to consciousness. His mom was holding his hand, and he could hear her talking to someone. "Yes, we understand the risks," she was saying, "but you have to understand. This might be his last chance." Marcus tried to open his eyes, but they felt glued shut. Everything hurt. "Mrs. Thompson," a man's voice replied. "Not Dr. Chen's this time. I represent Mr. James's foundation. We need to be sure Marcus is stable enough for any kind of meeting." Marcus's heart leaped. Did he say Mr. James? Was this really happening? He forced his eyes open. A tall man in a suit was standing at the foot of his bed, talking quietly with his mom. Nurse Joy was there too, checking his vital signs. "He's awake," his mom said, squeezing his hand. "Marcus, honey, can you hear me?" "What?" His throat felt like sandpaper. "What did LeBron say? At the press conference?" The man in the suit stepped forward. "Hello, Marcus. I'm David from the LeBron James Family Foundation. Mr. James saw your video." Marcus tried to sit up, but Nurse Joy gently pushed him back. "Easy there, superstar," she said. "Your body needs rest." "The video really moved Mr. James," David continued. "He wants to meet you, Marcus, but your doctors are concerned about your condition." "I can do it," Marcus said quickly. "I'm strong enough. Please." His mom wiped tears from her eyes. "Baby, your fever is still really high. Dr. Chen says, please." "Mom," Marcus interrupted, "I'll do all my treatments. I'll eat whatever they want. Just, please." David pulled out his phone. "Mr. James is in the middle of playoff preparations, but he wants to do this as soon as possible. If your condition stabilizes in the next 48 hours..." Suddenly, all the machines started beeping faster. Marcus felt that familiar darkness creeping in at the edges of his vision. His blood pressure's dropping again. Nurse Joy called out. "Mrs. Thompson, step back, please." "No," Marcus fought against the darkness. "I can't. Not now." Dr. Chen rushed in with more nurses. Everything became a blur of voices and movement. "Start another IV. Blood pressure still falling. Need to stabilize him before." The darkness won again. This time, when Marcus woke up, it was night. His room was quiet except for the steady beeping of machines. His mom was asleep in her usual chair, and Tommy was curled up in another one, snoring softly. A new IV bag hung beside his bed. His arms felt heavy, but his head felt clearer than it had in days. His phone lit up on the bedside table. With tremendous effort, he reached for it. There were hundreds of notifications, but one stood out. A Twitter alert from a King James. Marcus's hands shook as he opened it. It was a retweet of his video, with LeBron's own words added. "Marcus, keep fighting, young king. Your strength inspires me. See you soon. Believe in hope," posted just 10 minutes ago. Marcus read it over and over, making sure he wasn't dreaming. LeBron James had actually tweeted about him, had called him young king. See you soon. Those 3 words made his heart race so fast that one of his monitors started beeping. Nurse Joy poked her head in. "Everything okay? Your heart rate just..." "Oh!" She saw the phone in his hands and smiled. "You saw it?" Marcus nodded, unable to speak. "The whole hospital's talking about it," she said. coming in to check his vitals. And guess what? Your fever's finally down. Blood pressure's stabilizing. 2. Really? Really? Dr. Chen said if you keep improving like this... She winked. Well, let's just say David from the foundation has been calling every hour for updates. As if on cue, Marcus's phone lit up with another notification. This time it was an Instagram post. His breath caught when he saw it. It was a picture of LeBron in the Lakers' practice facility, holding up a purple and gold jersey. But it wasn't his usual number 23. This jersey had Thompson printed on the back. The caption read, "Got something for you, Marcus. Working on getting it signed by the whole team. Fighting through adversity is what makes us stronger. You're showing me what real strength looks like. Believe in hope." Tears rolled down Marcus's cheeks as he read the comments flooding in. "You're the GOAT for this, King. Marcus, we're all rooting for you. This is why LeBron's the greatest." His mom stirred in her chair. "Marcus, what's wrong?" He tried to speak, but couldn't. Instead, he just held out his phone. She read the posts, her own tears falling. "Oh, baby." Tommy woke up too, rubbing his eyes. "What's happening?" Before anyone could answer, David from the foundation appeared in the doorway, looking excited despite the late hour. "Marcus," he said, "how would you like to receive a phone call?" Marcus's heart nearly stopped. "From?" David smiled and held up his phone. "There's someone who'd like to talk to you. Right now." The room fell silent except for the soft beeping of machines. Marcus could hear his own heart pounding in his ears as David walked toward his bed. "Hello?" A familiar voice came through the speaker. "Is Marcus there?" It was LeBron James. Marcus tried to speak, but no words came out. His mom squeezed his hand encouragingly. "Yes," he finally managed. "This is Marcus." "What's up, young king?" LeBron's voice was warm and friendly, just like in interviews. "I saw your video. Man, you've got some serious strength." Marcus's whole body was shaking. "I learned it from watching you," he said softly. LeBron chuckled. "Nah, that kind of strength comes from inside. You beat cancer once already. That's more impressive than any championship I've ever won." Tears rolled down Marcus's cheeks. Tommy was recording everything on his phone, grinning from ear to ear. "I hear you made your school team this year," LeBron continued. "Yeah, but..." Marcus's voice cracked. "I never got to play in a real game." There was a pause on the other end. When LeBron spoke again, his voice was different, more serious. "Listen, Marcus, I know things are tough right now, but I've been reading about you, watching your video over and over. You've got something special, something that can't be measured in games played or points scored." "What's that?" Marcus asked. "Heart. The kind of heart that inspires other people. You inspired me, and I've never even met you in person. Yet." Marcus's breath caught. "Yet?" "Yeah, about that." LeBron paused again. "I'm supposed to be getting ready for Game 2 of the playoffs right now. My coaches aren't too happy with me, but some things are more important than basketball." David from the foundation stepped closer to the bed, holding up a tablet. On the screen was a flight plan. "If your doctors say it's okay," LeBron continued, "I've got a plane ready to fly out tomorrow morning. Game 2 isn't until the evening. I can be there by 10 a.m. Marcus couldn't breathe. His mom was crying openly now. Tommy had dropped his phone. "Really?" Marcus whispered. "Really? Just one condition. Anything. You've got to promise to keep fighting. Deal?" "Deal," Marcus said immediately. "All right then, young king." Let me talk to your doctors, and we'll make this happen." The next few hours were a whirlwind. Dr. Chen rushed in to check Marcus's vitals again. Nurses came and went, adjusting medications. The hospital administrator appeared, talking about security plans and media coordination. Through it all, Marcus drifted in and out of consciousness. The excitement had drained what little energy he had left. "His fever's rising again," he heard Dr. Chen say around midnight. "No," Marcus tried to say, but his voice wouldn't work. He couldn't get sick now, not when he was so close. His mom never left his side, whispering encouragement. "Stay with us, baby. Just a few more hours. You can do this." Tommy had to go home, but he promised to return first thing in the morning. "Don't you dare meet LeBron without me," he joked, but Marcus could see the worry in his eyes. Around 3 a.m., things got bad. The pain medication wasn't working as well anymore. Every breath hurt. "We need to make a decision," Dr. Chen told his mom in the hallway. Marcus wasn't supposed to hear, but the door was cracked open. "If his condition keeps deteriorating, we can't risk the meeting. The excitement could be too much for his system. He'll never forgive us if we cancel," his mom replied. "This could be his last chance to—" She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Marcus grabbed his phone. With trembling hands and opened Twitter, LeBron had posted again. "On my way to the airport. Can't wait to meet my young king tomorrow. Keep fighting, Marcus. I'm bringing something special with me. Believe in hope." The post had millions of likes already. The comments were full of prayers and well wishes. Marcus held on to that tweet like a lifeline as the night grew darker and the pain got worse. He repeated LeBron's words in his head. "Keep fighting! Keep fighting! Keep fighting!" Around 5 a.m., something changed. His fever started to drop. "It's working," Nurse Joy said excitedly, checking the monitors. "The new medication is finally kicking in." By 6 a.m., Dr. Chen was cautiously optimistic. If he stays stable for the next few hours, Marcus's mom called Tommy's parents, who promised to bring him to the hospital early. At 7 a.m., David from the foundation returned, looking like he hadn't slept at all. "Mr. James just boarded the plane," he announced. "He's bringing something from the whole Lakers team." And he smiled. Let's just say there might be a few other surprises. The sun was rising over the hospital, painting the room in purple and gold again. Marcus watched it through heavy eyelids, thinking about how everything had changed since that sunset a week ago when he'd first gotten the bad news. His phone buzzed one more time, another tweet from LeBron. "Wheels up. The king is coming to meet. A real hero. Believe in hope." Attached was a photo from inside a private jet. On the seat next to LeBron was a large box wrapped in Lakers colors. 3 more hours, his mom whispered, smoothing his hair back. "Just stay strong for 3 more hours." Marcus nodded sleepily. The medicine was making him drowsy, but he fought to stay awake. He didn't want to miss a single moment of what was coming. Outside his room, he could hear growing excitement. Nurses were whispering. Security guards were taking positions. Someone said a news van had just pulled into the parking lot. "Mom," Marcus said softly. "Yes, baby. Can you help me put on my Lakers jersey? The one from the team?" She wiped her eyes and smiled. "Of course." As she helped him sit up, careful of all the IV lines, Marcus looked at the LeBron poster on his wall one last time. Soon he wouldn't just be looking at a picture. If only he could stay awake long enough. The medicine pulled at him, trying to drag him under again. But he remembered his promise. Keep fighting. The king was coming, and Marcus Thompson wasn't about to give up now. The hospital hallway erupted with excitement. Marcus could hear people running, doors opening and closing, voices getting louder. "He's here!" Tommy burst into the room, still wearing his pajamas under his Lakers jacket. "Marcus, there's like 20 news vans outside." Marcus tried to sit up straighter in his Lakers jersey. His mom quickly fixed his hair and adjusted his IV lines. "How do I look?" he asked nervously. "Like a champion," she smiled, wiping away tears. David from the foundation appeared in the doorway. "Ready, Marcus? Mr. James is just down the hall." Marcus nodded, his heart beating so fast the monitors started beeping again. Nurse Joy rushed in to check them. "Your heart rate's pretty high," she said worriedly. "I'm okay," Marcus insisted. "Please, don't make me wait any longer." Nurse Joy looked at Dr. Chen, who had just walked in. He nodded slowly. "Just remember to breathe, Marcus." Then they heard it, a deep, familiar voice in the hallway, talking to hospital staff. Marcus grabbed his mom's hand, and there he was. LeBron James had to duck slightly to get through the doorway. He was even taller in person than Marcus had imagined, wearing a Lakers warm-up suit and carrying a large purple and gold box. But it was his smile that Marcus noticed first, warm and real, just like in his Instagram photos. "There's my young king," LeBron said, walking straight to Marcus's bed. "Man, it's good to finally meet you." Marcus tried to speak, but no words came out. He was shaking. "It's okay," LeBron said gently, setting the box down. "I get nervous meeting my heroes too." That made Marcus find his voice. "But you're my hero." LeBron shook his head. "Nah, you got that backward. You're the real hero here. Fighting cancer twice. That takes more courage than anything I've ever done on a basketball court." He pulled up a chair and sat down, getting on Marcus's eye level. "Tell me about your team. I heard you're a point guard?" For the next hour, they talked basketball. Marcus told LeBron about making the school team, about practicing his crossover, dribble in physical therapy, about watching Lakers games during his first battle with cancer. LeBron listened like he had all the time in the world, not like someone who had to play in a playoff game that night. He asked questions about Marcus's favorite plays, his teammates, his dreams. "You know," LeBron said finally, "that box isn't just from me. The whole Lakers team wanted to be part of this." He stood up and brought the box over. Marcus's hands were shaking so much that his mom had to help him open it. Inside was a Lakers jersey, but not just any jersey. It was an official game jersey with Thompson on the back, signed by the entire team. Under it was a pair of LeBron's game-worn shoes, also signed. But there was something else at the bottom of the box. A letter. "Read it out loud," LeBron said softly. Marcus unfolded the paper with trembling hands. "Dear Marcus, you are hereby officially signed to a one-day contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. Your strength, courage, and determination embody everything our team stands for. Welcome to the Lakers family." Signed, the Los Angeles Lakers organization. There was an official Lakers contract underneath, with Marcus's name on it. "You're the youngest Laker ever signed," LeBron grinned. "And I've got one more surprise." He pulled out his phone and started a video call. Suddenly, the whole Lakers team appeared on the screen, in their practice facility. "Welcome to the team, Marcus!" they all shouted. Marcus couldn't hold back the tears anymore. Neither could his mom. Even Tommy was wiping his eyes. "But that's not all," LeBron continued. "Tonight, when we play Game 2, we're all wearing purple headbands with your name on them. And these shoes?" He pointed to the signed ones in the box. "I'm wearing their matching pair in the game." "Really?" Marcus whispered. Really? And every time I score, I'm pointing up to you. Because you're teaching all of us what real courage looks like." Then LeBron did something unexpected. He turned to Marcus's mom. "Mrs. Thompson, can I talk to Marcus alone for a minute?" Everyone left the room. Even the nurses stepped out. Soon it was just Marcus and LeBron. "Listen," LeBron said, his voice different now, softer, more serious. "I know things are tough right now. I know you're scared. And it's okay to be scared." Marcus nodded, fresh tears falling. "But I want you to know something." LeBron leaned in close. "What you're doing right now, the way you're fighting, you're changing lives, Marcus. Your story is giving hope to other kids like you. You're their hero now, just like I was yours. But I'm not going to—" Marcus couldn't finish the sentence. "Hey." LeBron took his hand. "Some of the biggest impacts in history were made by people who didn't have much time. It's not about how long you have. It's about what you do with the time you've got." Then LeBron whispered something to Marcus. Something just between them. Something that made Marcus smile through his tears. When everyone came back in, they found LeBron and Marcus watching highlights on Marcus's tablet, talking and laughing. Like old friends. For 2 more hours, LeBron stayed. He didn't check his phone once, didn't worry about the playoff game waiting for him. He just sat with Marcus, sharing stories, cracking jokes, making plans. Finally, David had to remind LeBron, "About the flight back." "I've got to go win a playoff game for my newest teammate," LeBron said, standing up. "You'll be watching?" "I never miss a Lakers game," Marcus smiled. LeBron hugged him carefully, mindful of the IV lines. "This isn't goodbye, young king. This is just the beginning." As LeBron turned to leave, Marcus called out, "LeBron?" "Yeah? Thank you. For everything." LeBron smiled that warm smile again. "No, Marcus. Thank you for reminding me what really matters." After LeBron left, the hospital hallway stayed buzzing with excitement. Nurses kept coming in to check on Marcus, all of them wanting to hear about the meeting. But Marcus was quiet, holding his new Lakers jersey and thinking about what LeBron had whispered to him. Words that would change everything, though he didn't know it yet. Words that would start something bigger than either of them had imagined. That night, Marcus watched the Lakers' playoff game from his hospital bed. True to his word, LeBron was wearing the matching shoes to the ones he'd given Marcus. Every player had on a purple headband with Thompson written across it. LeBron played like a man possessed. 45 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists. Every time he scored, he pointed up to the sky, to Marcus. The Lakers won by 30 points. In the post-game interview, LeBron was still wearing his Thompson headband. "This game was for a very special teammate of mine," he said into the cameras. "Marcus Thompson taught me something today about courage, about fighting when everything's against you. And tonight, I've got an announcement to make." Marcus sat up, straighter in his bed. This wasn't part of what they'd talked about. "Today, I saw what real strength looks like," LeBron continued. "And it made me realize I needed to do more. So right here, right now, I'm announcing the creation of the Marcus Thompson Foundation." Marcus's mom gasped. Tommy, who'd stayed to watch the game, dropped his phone. "This foundation," LeBron went on, "will help families dealing with childhood cancer. We're going to cover medical bills, support research, and make sure no parent has to choose between working overtime and being with their sick child." The reporters started shouting questions, but LeBron wasn't done. "I'm personally donating $10 million to start it off. And I've got commitments from other NBA players, from the Lakers organization, and from sponsors for another $40 million. But here's the real announcement." He looked directly into the camera, and Marcus felt like LeBron was speaking just to him. Marcus Thompson won't just be the name of the foundation. Starting tomorrow, he's going to be running it. Now Marcus understood what LeBron had whispered to him earlier. You think your story's ending, but I'm going to help you write a new chapter. You're going to help other kids fight their battles, just like you helped me remember what fighting's really about. The interview continued, but Marcus couldn't hear it over his mom's crying and Tommy's whooping. His phone was exploding with notifications. The nurses were celebrating in the hallway. But something else was happening too. Something inside Marcus felt different. For the first time since his diagnosis, he wasn't thinking about how much time he had left. He was thinking about what he could do with whatever time he had. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. While Marcus continued his treatments, LeBron's team set up a special office in his hospital room. They brought in laptops, installed video conferencing equipment, and taught Marcus how foundations worked. Every day, Marcus got to help choose which families would receive assistance. He video chatted with other sick kids, sharing his story, giving them hope. Some days he was so tired he could barely keep his eyes open, but he never wanted to stop. "You're working too hard," his mom worried. But Marcus just smiled. "For the first time, Mom, I'm not thinking about being sick. I'm thinking about helping other people." The foundation grew faster than anyone expected. More athletes joined LeBron in supporting it. Celebrities shared Marcus's story. Money poured in from donors around the world. And something extraordinary started happening. Marcus's doctors couldn't explain it, but his latest test results showed the cancer's progress had slowed. "It's like his body's fighting harder now that his mind has a mission," Dr. Chen said, shaking his head in amazement. 1 month after meeting LeBron, Marcus was able to sit up for longer periods. 2 months after, he could use the wheelchair to attend foundation meetings in the hospital's conference room. LeBron called or texted every day, even during the playoffs. The Lakers made it to the finals, and every player wore their Thompson headbands for every game. They won the championship. In his finals MVP speech, LeBron held up his trophy and said, "This isn't just for the Lakers. This is for my young king, Marcus Thompson, who's fighting a much bigger battle and winning it with more courage than I've ever shown on a court." 6 months after that first meeting, Marcus was still fighting. The doctors were amazed. The foundation had helped over 1,000 families, raised more than $100 million, and started research programs at 3 major hospitals. 1 year to the day after their meeting, LeBron came back to visit. This time, Marcus was sitting in a chair instead of lying in bed. He was thin and tired, but his eyes were bright with purpose. "You've done more in 1 year than most people do in a lifetime," LeBron told him. Marcus smiled. "I had a pretty good teacher." They worked together that day, reviewing applications from families needing help, reading letters from kids who'd found hope through Marcus's story. Every time they approved help for a family, LeBron would fist bump Marcus and say, "Another win, young king." Before leaving, LeBron had one more surprise. He pulled out his phone and showed Marcus a video. It was from all over the country. Kids in hospitals wearing Thompson headbands, holding up signs saying, "Fighting like Marcus." Parents crying with gratitude after getting help from the foundation. Doctors announcing research breakthroughs funded by Marcus's program. "This," LeBron said, "this is your real legacy. Not just fighting your own battle, but helping others fight theirs." That night, after LeBron left, Marcus sat by his window looking at the sunset. The sky was purple and gold again, just like that first day when he'd gotten the bad news. His mom came in and hugged him gently. "You know what today is?" Marcus nodded. 1 year since they said I had 3 months to live." She wiped away tears. "You proved them wrong, baby. You proved everyone wrong." "No, Mom," Marcus said softly. "We proved them wrong. All of us together." He looked at his wall, now covered with photos instead of just posters. Pictures of him with LeBron, with families the foundation had helped, with kids who'd beaten cancer thanks to the research they'd funded. His Lakers jersey still hung there too, but now it was joined by something else. A framed letter he'd received just that morning. "Dear Marcus, your one-day contract with the Lakers has been extended indefinitely. You've brought more honor to our jersey than any championship ever could. Keep changing the world, young king. LeBron." That night, watching another Lakers game from his room, Marcus thought about everything that had happened in the past year. How a simple wish had turned into something that was helping thousands of people. How his biggest hero had become his closest friend. How what seemed like an ending had turned into a beginning. His phone buzzed. Another text from LeBron. "Just told the team about today's foundation numbers. They say hi and want to know if you're up for a video call tomorrow. Got some more families that need our help." Marcus smiled and texted back. "Always ready to help, King. We've got more battles to win." Because that's what LeBron had really given him. Not just a wish come true, but a purpose. Not just a hero's visit, but a hero's legacy to carry on. And as Marcus Thompson drifted off to sleep that night, he wasn't thinking about time running out. He was thinking about all the good they could do tomorrow. He was thinking about the next chapter, and the one after that, and all the chapters yet to come. Because some stories don't end. They just keep changing lives, one day at a time. Like a king passing his crown to a young warrior who proved that the greatest victories aren't won on a basketball court. They're won in the heart, and Marcus Thompson's heart? It was just getting started. Thanks for joining me for this incredible story about Marcus and LeBron. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop your location in the comments below. I hope this story touched your heart as much as it touched mine. If it did, please hit that like button. It really helps spread stories like Marcus's to more people who need to hear them.